So in this section, we want to talk about setting up your Express console to control moving lights. There are a certain set of features built into this console that make accessing moving light functionality a little bit easier than individual channel control. We want to cover how you get to those right now. In your setup menu, it's option number 15, contains all of your moving light setup information. So let's go ahead and go there. So setup 15, enter. And there are actually a few menu items here. We're going to take you through each one of them and see what they do. The first one, we'll just go in order. The first one is personality setup. So what is personality setup? Basically, a personality is the term that we use to define what the Express console thinks a moving light is, because every moving light is different. They have different capabilities. The order in which the channels function, whether it be pan and tilt or intensity or color, are all different. So the console has to know what that is, and the personality is what says that. So we look at the personality setup, and you'll see that the console comes preloaded with 12 commonly used personalities. If the personality for your particular moving light is not listed here, you can check the ETC website, etcconnect.com, to see if it's available for download, or you can also download from the ETC website the personality editor, and you can create your own personality and load it into the board. But for our purposes today, we'll deal with one of the personalities here. I just want to show you an example of what one kind of looks like to the board. I'm going to pick number 12, and I'm going to hit soft key 3 for view personality, just so you can see kind of what it looks like. So in a sense, this is the template that the console understands a moving light to be. It thinks it has about 15 channels. The first channel is pan, and then the fine control for pan, and then tilt is the third channel, and the fine for tilt, and then color, and then the gobo, and all the stuff, finally with the last of 15 channels being intensity. So that is what the console thinks a techno beam is. I'm going to hit soft key 8 to return out of that, and just remember that personality 12 is my techno beam. So I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to go now to fixture patch. This is where you actually tell the console that you have some of these moving lights programmed into your desk. So I'm going to go into number 2, and now I have a new display that is basically a table. And again, my command prompt is going to walk me through all of the steps I need to do here. So it's going to say select fixture numbers. Let's say I have 4 fixtures. So I'm going to say 1 through 4. Enter. Now it's going to say select the personality. Well, I remembered that personality 12 was my techno beam, so I'm going to say 12, enter, and you'll see that personality will say it's number 12, techno beam. And now it's just going to move across the table. It says select the starting channel number. This is where you want to make sure that your console has the capacity to handle these number of channels. If you're working, say, with an Express 2448, you only have 96 channels available to you, and if you're using 80 channels for your dimmers, you're going to be fairly limited. In this case, I'm going to start these techno beams at channel 101 because the console I'm working on happens to be an Express 250, and there's enough channels for that. And what it's going to do is it's going to automatically increment and do the mathematics for me so that the first techno beam is 101, the second techno beam is 119, the third one is 137, and so on and so forth. And now the next column over is the DMX 512 start. Now this is where you've actually physically plugged in your moving lights to your console. It's asking first for the port, and your Express console has 2 ports of DMX, and typically you want to plug your moving lights into port 2 because you've got your dimmers plugged into port 1. So I'm going to go ahead and select port 2, enter, and now it's going to ask for DMX starting number. Typically this is number 1. You'll take your first moving light and address it at 1, and your second moving light you'll address at 19, or whatever the console has done the math for. Now you have to make sure in system setup that you have enough dimmers turned on. You have to go into number of dimmers and increase that to allow for this capacity, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then it will continue to move across in these various columns. Remote dimmer is something that these particular lights don't need a remote dimmer. The column is going to say no, and it can't be changed. And swap focus allows you to swap pan for tilt in case the light is oriented in a way that you want to be able to control it that way. So that's basically how you get them patched in. I'm going to go ahead and return out of this so we can continue going through the moving light setup menu. Option number 3 is our attribute setup. Basically, an attribute is something like things like intensity, pan, tilt, and color. all of the functions of a moving light fit into one of four categories, either focus, color, image, or beam. And if you need to make changes, you can do that here, but typically the way they come from the factory by default is a good way to start. So I'm going to go back out to my main menu here by hitting S8 to return. The final option in the moving light menu is number 4, encoder setup. What this refers to is how all of the parameters of your moving lights will map to the trackpad for operation when you're controlling your moving lights. So let's go into encoder setup. There's really only one thing we want to do here, and that's clean up all of the extra stuff. The items in purple are the ones that your moving lights will actually use. The items in gray are extra. So there's a function down here, soft key 6, which is auto load encoders. We want to do that. So you hit that and you will get to confirm, press enter in your command prompt. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and now you can see that all of the parameters have been condensed down to a couple of pages. That way, as you're using your trackpad to control your moving lights, you're not doing a lot of paging back and forth. Everything's kind of condensed into one neat little area for that. So those are your steps that you should take to prepare your console to operate moving lights.